Today we're going to talk about the new style org chart, the corporate organisational chart that maps your internal employees or your full-time employees. Has been around now for a couple of hundred years, and it's time for a change. I think the challenge with the old org chart is it's very inward-looking, it's very insular, and in a world today where businesses have been building out international supply chains, where we're developing ecosystems of stakeholders that don't just include your full-time employees, but also include your partners, your suppliers, your customers, everything that runs down the entire supply chain. It seems a bit limiting now to just think in terms of how you organise and structure and manage your full-time employees. And clearly, with the development of social systems, collaborative platforms, and technology as a whole and mobility, it seems a little constraining just to focus on one element of your stakeholder system or ecosystem. So at Blur, we've been working hard on, first of all, trying to restructure the organisational chart and think differently about organisational systems. So if you have a set of corporate systems, if you have platforms that enable you to organise your business differently and think about your ecosystem, think about, in fact, really rethink the whole concept of leadership. Because if you ask yourself today, say for example you are an Apple who has 90,000 full-time employees, but a couple of million that work on their business down their supply chain. So if you're Tim Cook, if you're the CEO of Apple, who are you really the CEO of? Who is it that you organise? Who is it that you lead? Who is it that you manage? Is it your entire ecosystem, or is it your employees? So at Blur, we've been thinking hard, seeing as we obviously have an enabling platform to develop ecosystem management and manage your supply chain more effectively. We've been thinking very hard about how can we tear up the org chart and create a new organisational system and a new organisational org chart that is about all of your stakeholders, all of the ecosystem that works on your business, not just the few that work inside your business. What we found is as you move to running ecosystems, as you move more of your outputs through the supply chain, you become more flexible as a business. Businesses can become more profitable. And I think there's a number of organisations that have shown that, whether it be an Apple or a Tesla or a Southwest Airlines, or there's a number that are quite effective in ecosystem management, quite effective in the way in which they balance internal resources with external resources. So I think it creates a more agile, more profitable, more innovative organisation. It creates a leaner organisation. Doesn't matter how big you are, lean has become something that's important for everyone. And if you follow some of the principles that we've been throwing out, so for instance, we threw out recently the idea that you should only have one full-time employee for every 10 human resources that work on your business. And I think moving to structures like this enable you to really think about the way in which you run your business in a different way. And it's quite enlightening. We published a book recently called Doing More with Less. And it sets out a journey for what we call a size zero organisation, which is one that's the exact right fit at every stage of its evolution, and more nimble and able to drive change, and gets that balance between internal and external resources more tuned to the modern world. But also, we clearly have an enabling platform that allows businesses to be able to become more efficient and to be able to push more work through an external ecosystem and create a more tuned supply chain, particularly with service providers around the world. So how do you balance workloads between internal and external more effectively? And obviously we have an enabling software platform that helps large organisations manage this transition. With efficiency being the big focus for enterprises around the world today, we believe that tearing up the traditional org chart and moving to ecosystem management and more fluid strategic supply chains is smart business.